In the world of rap, bling isn't just an accessory. It's a statement, a symbol of success, and sometimes an invitation to trouble. Rappers aren't just musicians, they're trendsetters, showing off their lavish lifestyles with every chain, every outfit. But with great bling comes great risk. These pieces don't just catch the eye of admirers. The flashy pieces are sometimes magnets for trouble, leading to daring heists caught right on camera. Well, let's dive into the world of rappers who've had their chains snatched right on camera. Playboi Carti. Playboi Carti hails from Atlanta, Georgia, and is quite the rapper. You might have heard of his catchy tunes like Magnolia and Woke Up Like This with Lil Uzi Vert. Now, Carti's got a fan base split right down the middle. Some folks love him to bits, while others can't stand his style. For those vibing with the new wave of mumble rap, Carti's like a hero, a trailblazer, if you will. But for those who groove to the old school hip-hop beats, his music can be a bit like trying to solve a puzzle in the dark. No matter where you stand, one thing's for sure. Carti was the talk of the town in the late 2010s. For one, Carti isn't exactly rolling up with a tough guy image. He's more into setting trends and having a say in what's cool than acting like a streetwise rapper. But here's the thing, just because you're not pretending to be a gangster doesn't mean you're untouchable. Case in point, at a concert in his hometown of Atlanta back in 2017, a fan swiped Carti's chain. Carti was riding high on the success of his debut album and that banger Magnolia. He's up there surfing on the crowd's energy, a real hometown hero. Clips from that show have him shirtless, riding atop the sea of fans, everyone chanting his lyrics. In the beginning, he had this gold necklace on his neck, but somewhere in the mix, that shiny gold chain he had around his neck disappeared. It's like a magic trick, but not in a good way. Later on, this footage showed Carti speaking up about the chain vanishing act. He wants everyone to know he had that chain on before he dived into the crowd, and he's pretty sure someone pulled a fast one on him. Carti doesn't go all tough guy like Youngboy and starts making threats. No, he just tells the fan who swiped his chain that they can keep it, but deep down, he's not thrilled about the whole deal. Now, Carti's not the kind of rapper who's always trying to be a street legend, so he's not under as much pressure to go all action movie hero in response. But let's get real. Snatching someone's chain isn't just about nabbing a fancy necklace. It's like a slap in the face, a way to make rappers look weak when the spotlight's on. Carti's not out here pretending to be a tough cookie, so he's not exactly fuming like a kettle. But let's be honest, nobody likes being taken for a ride, especially not when your stuff goes missing. So he had to speak up just to let fans know that he was not cool with it. And hey, not all rappers would be as chill as Carti when it comes to dealing with sticky fingers. NBA Youngboy. When it comes to the rap game, NBA Youngboy stands out big time. He's like this mix of super popular and super controversial. People are all about him. He's got fans who are ride or die, a bunch of albums under his belt, and a reputation that's got tongues wagging. But he is also famous for some seriously fancy bling. Think flashy jewelry, like that chain of his that's got his logo and brand all over it. It's practically his signature move. So, picture this scene in South Carolina. Youngboy Never Broke Again, also known as NBA Youngboy, was having a concert. Now there was this one overly curious fan who got a bit too grabby, trying to swipe Youngboy's bling chain. Now, keep in mind that this was all happening in the general admission part of the crowd. Youngboy was up there on stage with his bodyguard, piggybacking on him while holding the mic. But then, out of nowhere, this sneaky someone crept up and grabbed Youngboy's chain from behind, yanking him backward. Then NBA Youngboy took the chain off his neck. They even tried to pull the chain from his hands, attempting another snatch at the jewelry. Well, that didn't sit too well with Youngboy. He decided it was time to throw some punches. The person who tried to break the chain wasn't ready to call it quits. Usually it's the big bouncer or the bodyguard who ends up dishing out the last punches in a situation like this. But in this case, NBA Youngboy's bodyguard was trying to calm things down. He was caught in between, trying to separate Youngboy from the feisty concert goer. What's worse, all the scuffling got the rest of the crowd all riled up too. Suddenly, the general admission area turned into a brawl zone, with folks who didn't even know each other going at it, all for reasons as simple as the flip of a light switch. After the whole fracas went down in the crowd, NBA Youngboy got back on stage to try and keep the show rolling. Everything seemed okay until guess who showed up? Yep, the guy who tried to snatch the chain was at it again, heckling Youngboy from the floor. Quando Rondo, another rapper who was performing with Youngboy at the time, decided to put a stop to the music. He threw out a challenge to the whole crowd. If anyone had a problem with NBA Youngboy, they better speak up then and there or forever hold their peace. You probably saw this coming. The chain-grabbing troublemaker couldn't resist the spotlight. They piped up, and you guessed it, another round of fighting broke out. And that was the grand finale for the concert, putting it to bed once and for all. 50 Cent. seems like a fan in Angola got a tough lesson about underestimating 50 Cent's power. This all went down during a G-Unit show at the Cidadela Stadium in Luanda, Angola, while 50 Cent was on his African tour. The fan hopped onto the stage and swiped 50's chain from around his neck while he was performing. A fan caught the whole thing on video. You can see someone jumping onto the stage, grabbing what appears to be the chain off of 50 Cent's neck, and then quickly disappearing back into the crowd. The music stops, and the crowd starts moving back and forth as the person who took the chain tries to get away to the back of the venue. 50 Cent's website, thisis50.com, talked about what happened. It turns out that since security was kind of limited, fans could get close to the performers, but one fan had different plans. The website said, this one fan thought he could do more than just enjoy the show and tried to take 50's chain. The site said 50 Cent pushed the fan off the stage and then jumped into the crowd. Things got pretty wild after that. The website promised to share more details soon, even showing live footage of the whole chain-grabbing incident. An insider from G-Unit, who didn't want to be named, told TMZ.com that there's more to the story. They said 50 Cent not only pushed the fan off the stage, but he also punched him. The insider added that the chain was still around 50's neck. That fan took a big risk, but it was a pretty bold move. I'm curious about what he was thinking when he decided to grab 50 Cent's chain. Later on, Police Superintendent Carlos Mota said they caught the young man who jumped on stage to snatch 50 Cent's chain off his neck. According to the Angola press, his name is Bruno Carvalho, and he was handed over to the police by his own parents after the video of the incident went viral. The guy had to face criminal charges for snatching 50 Cent's chain. XXXTentacion, the American rapper and singer we all knew and loved, met a tragic end on June 18, 2018. He was only 20 years old when his life was cut short. Here's what I learned about the robbery that took his chains and his life. According to ABC News, XXXTentacion, also known as Jase Onfroy, was leaving a motorsports shop in Deerfield Beach when two guys armed with guns came up to him and started shooting. They came intending to rob him. He got hit multiple times and was declared dead in a nearby hospital. The guys who did this terrible thing were named Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, Trayvon Newsom, and Robert Allen. They faced charges of murder and robbery. The reason they went after XXXTentacion was because they saw him taking out $50,000 in cash from a bank and putting it in a fancy Louis Vuitton bag in his BMW. He tried to get $250,000 from a bank earlier, but they didn't have that much money, the bank person told the court. Security cameras caught two of the guys walking past XXXTentacion and his uncle, Leonard Kerr, who was with him at the store. These two guys then got into an SUV and waited for the rapper to leave. When he started driving away, they blocked him and showed their gun. Kerr, X's uncle, said one of the guys demanded the rapper's chain and was tugging on it. He told how the two guys jumped out of the SUV with guns. One of them was taller and pointed a gun at him, telling him, "Don't come out of the car," and the other guy was by X, tugging on his chain. Kerr said the shorter guy was trying to yank off the rapper's gold chain from his neck, and he could hear X asking, "What's this for?" That's when Kerr decided to take a chance and hit the button that opened the passenger door. "If I run, I can get shot but can live. If I sit," Kerr's voice trailed off as he gathered himself. When Kerr looked back, the taller guy was pointing a gun at XXXTentacion, and he heard two loud shots. Then the guys hopped back into the SUV and sped away, taking the $50,000 in cash that XXXTentacion had in his fancy bag. Not only did the robbers take his money, but they also grabbed the gold chain with his rapper name pendant and another chain with a pendant that looked like a tree of life. Prosecutor Pascal Achille told the jury that Boatwright, Newsom, Williams, and Allen had planned that day to rob people with their guns. Allen and Williams even went into a shop to buy masks for the robbery. That's where they saw XXXTentacion, who, according to Kerr, had the $50,000 peeking out of his bag. They recognized him and decided to rob him as he left. Boatwright shot him without any reason, Achille said. And then, on social media, there were photos of some of these guys showing off the money they stole that night. They went on social media and started showing off like they hit the jackpot, Achille said. They acted like it was Christmas morning. In March 2023, Boatwright, Williams, and Newsom were found guilty of killing XXXTentacion and got locked up for life without any chance of parole. In May 2023, Allen admitted to second-degree murder in 2022 and sentenced to 7 years in prison with credit for 4 years, 9 months, and 21 days served, followed by 20 years probation. Migos had been caught up in a few fights at their shows recently, but things got more serious during their gig in DC. After a scuffle with GBE's Capo and some threats from Fredo Santana, they got jumped at their DC show, though it's not clear if these incidents are linked. The whole thing started back in 2013 when Keith thought he heard a diss about his daughter in Migos' song Offset. He tweeted about it, and then there was some back and forth between Keith, Offset, and Takeoff. They told Keith they'd be in Chicago next week and told him to show up, but Keith just made fun of them in response. This led to diss tracks from both sides, but things eventually calmed down. After the fight with Capo, he and his GBE pal Fredo Santana took to Twitter with insults and death threats. Santana said he'd get Migos' whole crew taken down and be willing to pay the price for it. Migos didn't hold back with their insults. There was this fight between Migos and GBE Copo at a restaurant in Chicago. Migos posted a video after the brawl where they were yelling at Copo and said they caught him off guard. Copo fired back on social media, calling Migos soft because they had a bunch of about 20 guys with them while he was alone. Then Fredo Santana, who was tight with Capo, stepped in and stopped the chatter. He warned Migos not to mess around with Capo or he'd have their whole camp killed in due time for it. He also made it clear that anyone supporting Migos would be in trouble. Around a week later, during a Migos performance in DC, a big fight broke out. In 2014, things escalated even further when Migos performed in a DC club and ran into GBE members, including Capo, who had fought with Migos before in Chicago. A brawl happened between the two groups, and a GBE member reportedly grabbed Quavo's chain and disappeared into the crowd. Chief Keef later posted a picture of the chain on Instagram, but quickly deleted it. The chain was worth $250,000 and had a diamond-encrusted pendant of Quavo's face. Chief Keef went on social media afterward to flaunt the chain and confirmed that they were behind it.
Come on, man. Beat up how? Shitting me. Chains on me still dangling, bitch.
Give me that. I ain't doing that.
But in his own Instagram video, Quavo said he still had his jewelry and was never attacked. Things seemed to calm down in 2015 when GBE Capo did an interview with Hip Hop Revival and said there was no beef with Migos. He claimed the chain snatching wasn't planned and that he had no issue with the Atlanta trio. He even said he'd be open to working with them in the future. However, later that year, Capo was shot and killed in Chicago by unknown attackers. The Migos didn't publicly comment on his death. Getting your chain snatched could ruin a rapper's career, especially if they come from the streets. But after the beef was settled, fans moved on and forgot about it pretty quickly. Lil Mosey. Lil Mosey kicked off his music journey when he was 15, and he's still just 19. People don't label him as a street artist, but he does talk about guns and rivals in his songs, so some people think he's living that lifestyle. However, his fans are mostly young, and it's not too hard to make them believe you're tougher online than you actually are. As social media keeps breaking down barriers, there's a new trend of taking the proverbial L, which stands for taking losses, and Lil Mosey's street cred took his biggest L on camera. You might know him from songs like Noticed and Pull Up. In a video that got uploaded on YouTube, Lil Mosey and his crew were lined up against the wall and handing over their chains to someone who was telling them to give up their jewelry. They're in what seems to be someone's house, and some tough-looking folks from Seattle are there too, giving them a hard time about being disrespectful. Then, the crew displays their chains, spelling out Band Kid, and they're asking for $20K to give them back. The guy who took the chains keeps saying that Mosey and his crew disrespected him and his brothers. This has many thinking that Mosey and his crew might have talked badly about them online, and these guys decided to show up and teach them a lesson. The weird part is, the guy doesn't seem to have any weapons, at least from what we can see in the video. Right before the clip ends, he says,
"Why you leaving, bro? We just talking, bro."
Later, on Instagram Live, Mosey is seen wearing the same Band Kid neck piece that got snatched in the robbery. He briefly mentions it, saying, "Just some drama for clout and I thought we were cool." It's not clear what exactly went down when Mosey was 16, but it could be karma since he played a prank on his fans, making them think he and his crew were robbing them on their tour bus. 6ix9ine. Tekashi 6ix9ine, the rapper who caused a lot of controversy and got out of jail by cooperating with the law for a RICO case and snitching on some big names in the industry, had a pretty close call with his fans during his first concert after getting out, which happened in Orlando, Florida. His real name is Daniel Hernandez, but you probably know him as Tekashi 6ix9ine. He did his show at Tier nightclub where he performed his famous songs like Gooba, Trolls, and Yaya. But things got wild when he decided to jump off the balcony into the crowd while he was singing Kuda. According to TMZ, one of the people at the concert knocked off his hat and tried to grab the chains he was wearing around his neck. Those chains were super expensive, like $2 million expensive. The rapper got really mad and yelled at the person who tried to take his bling. Luckily, his security team stepped in fast and managed to get one of the chains back that fell on the ground. Tekashi didn't make a big fuss about this concert. He's still keeping things on the down low since he got in trouble for snitching on his old gang, the 9 Trey Bloods. He got a lot of heat from the hip-hop community for telling on them and exposing their evil deeds. Even though he's been in legal trouble and has a bad rep, Tekashi still managed to do well with his music after he got out of jail. His song with Nicki Minaj, Trolls, shot right to the top of the Billboard Hot 100 chart in June 2020. He was the first rapper to do that all by himself without without a big label. But his second album, Tattletales, didn't do so well. It came out in September 2020, and people didn't like. The reviews were pretty bad. In the first week, only 53,000 copies of the album were sold, and it debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200 chart. And then things went downhill from there. It dropped off the top 50 in the second week. Just a little while ago, Tekashi said sorry to his fans for disappearing from social media and music. He posted a video where he said hi to his fans in the Dominican Republic and wrote a caption saying he was not happy. He said fame and money don't make him feel good. He reminded everyone to keep their faith in God while chasing their dreams. Slim Jimmy. Ray Shremmerd's member, Slim Jimmy, had a tough time during a show in Paris on Monday night. He lost a super expensive chain while surfing the crowd. This piece of bling was seriously valuable, like 100,000 euros, which is around $113,515 in dollars, according to Europe 1. After the incident, Jimmy got back on stage, and he asked the person who took the chain to step up and fess up. He's like, yo, somebody swiped my chain. Who did it? Step up and show yourself, folks. Help me out here. He wasn't as furious as Youngboy, who once threatened the crowd, but you can tell that he was seriously ticked off. Sway Lee, who was on the stage, chimed in too. He said if the chain snatcher comes clean, they'd take them along on tour and even throw in Euro 5,000 to sweeten the deal. Jimmy went all in, saying,
"Who got the chain? I got you 5,000 euros right now."
"Who got the chain? I got you Euro 5,000 right now." But guess what? Still no one spoke up. He didn't stop there. He raised the stakes to 50,000 euros, but no takers. He kept asking,
"Who got the chain right now? I will cash you out 50,000 euros right now."
"Who's got the chain right now? I'll cash you out 50,000 euros right now." He kept repeating, "Who's got the chain?" Hold it up high, and called for the person to show up on stage. But here's the thing, that might not have been the smartest move. The thief might have realized that if the guys were ready to shell out 50,000 euros on the spot, the chain must be worth even more on the streets of Paris. Just a few weeks before this, Jimmy had bought the chain and even flaunted it on social media. It had JXM written in diamond. He wanted his fans to know the actual spelling of his stage name, which had an X, not an I. There are loads of pics of Jimmy rocking the chain on tour, looking all excited about his fresh bling. But here's where things took a turn. He shouldn't have dived into the crowd with over $100,000 worth of gold and diamonds hanging around his neck. Later, it came out that Jimmy had talked to the French police about the chain going missing. The Ray Shremmerd crew also put it out there that whoever brought back the chain would either get to roll with them on tour or score a cool 50,000 euros. But when a fan went on Twitter to ask Jimmy how he was feeling, he seemed to brush it off, saying he wasn't that bothered. Fetty Wap. Fetty Wap, the rapper from New Jersey, seems to be missing a couple of his personal things after a reported robbery and shooting incident in his hometown. The news is that not only did the robbers take some money from Fetty while he was in Paterson, New Jersey over the weekend, but they also snatched his chain. There was a shootout after the robbery, and 3 people got hurt and had to go to the hospital. According to TMZ, Fetty didn't get hurt in all this, and it's not clear if he was directly involved in the shooting. DJ Academics put up a post on Instagram right after the shooting, saying that Fetty's fancy jewelry is now making the rounds in the neighborhood. It seems like the chain has shown up in lots of photos on social media. In one of the pictures shared by this Instagram user, you can see a guy wearing the chain with 1,738 inches on it around his neck. This guy says he had the chain, but had nothing to do with the robbery. Now, the police in New Jersey have arrested a guy linked to the robbery and shooting. They've got Raheem Thomas, also known as Fuzz. He and Fetty Wap are known rivals. Earlier this year, Thomas released a song dissing Fetty Wap and his music crew called Got Him Remix. He even put up a picture of himself with the stolen jewelry online after it went missing. He said in the post before he deleted it that he didn't actually take the chain, but he didn't mind posing with it. How he got his chain taken, I don't know, and I don't care. That's none of my business, captioned Thomas. I would love to take credit for it, but unfortunately, my Instagram is no liar. Thomas isn't charged with robbing the chain right now, but he's in trouble for unlawful possession of a weapon. So there you have it. Fetty Wap's stuff went missing, a shooting happened, and now a guy named Fuzz is in some hot water because of it.